Imagine booting up your computer, and instead of your desktop, you see a stark message. Oops, your important files are encrypted, with a demand for Bitcoin and a ticking clock. Now imagine this isn't just you, but hospitals, banks, even the radiation monitors at Chernobyl all going dark at once. On June 27, 2017, that nightmare became reality, as a rogue malware attack paralyzed an entire country and then crippled companies worldwide. In a matter of hours, this fast-spreading worm, later named NotPetya, caused over $10 billion in damages, earning notoriety as the most devastating cyber attack in history. If you think ransomware is scary, meet the code that didn't even want your money, just pure destruction. This is the gripping tale of NotPetya, the malware that crashed the world. Before officially starting the video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, as that motivates us to make more such videos. Thanks. Let's get back to video now. Before chaos erupted, the stage was set in an unlikely place, a small, family-run software company in Kyiv, Ukraine. This company made M.E.Doc, a popular accounting program used by 90% of businesses in Ukraine, basically the TurboTax of Ukraine. Unbeknownst to its users, M.E.Doc's update server had been hijacked months earlier by sophisticated hackers. On a routine summer day, a malicious update was pushed out through that server, a digital Trojan horse smuggled in through trusted software. Businesses large and small installed the update, unwittingly letting in what would soon be the most vicious cyber weapon ever unleashed. The malware hidden in the update masqueraded as Petya ransomware, a known threat from the year before. Petya's hallmark was locking up a computer's master boot record and displaying a ransom note demanding $300 in Bitcoin for a decryption key. Sure enough, infected PCs began showing a black and red ransom screen, announcing, "Oops, your important files are encrypted. Nobody can recover your files without our decryption services," and instructions to send $300 in Bitcoin. It looked like a classic ransomware outbreak, even sharing code with the Petya virus. But this was a ruse. In reality, NotPetya, as researchers soon dubbed it, was a wiper in disguise, a piece of malware designed not to make money, but to destroy data. Victims who paid the ransom got nothing back. In fact, no decryption key existed at all. This was a weapon of sabotage, released in the midst of an ongoing covert cyber war between Russia and Ukraine. And once unleashed, it would careen far beyond its intended target. How did NotPetya spread with such ferocity that it brought down hundreds of networks in a day? The answer? It was engineered like a cyber supervirus. Once the tainted M.E.Doc update opened the door, NotPetya moved autonomously. It combined two potent hacking tools that made it spread faster than wildfire. One was EternalBlue, a stolen U.S. NSA cyber weapon that exploits a flaw in Windows networking. The other was Mimikatz, a password snatching tool that grabs login credentials from a computer's memory. Together, they were lethal. EternalBlue allowed the malware to worm through networks, infecting any unpatched PC without permission. And even on patched machines, Mimikatz would steal an administrator's password and use it to hop to other computers like a thief with a master key. In the words of one researcher,
"By the second you saw it, your data center was already gone."
NotPetya didn't stop at a single machine. It was designed to seize entire networks within minutes. It would even force PCs to reboot, and instead of Windows, users would see a grim text on a black screen announcing their files were encrypted. Under the hood, NotPetya was permanently scrambling data. It overwrote critical system records, like the master boot record and file table, so that computers could no longer find their own operating system. This is why paying the ransom was futile. The malware had no undo button. In effect, it was like a digital ink bomb, exploding inside thousands of computers simultaneously. With no one at the helm, the hackers never even provided a working contact to arrange payments. NotPetya simply spread until there was nothing left to infect. The engineering was brutally effective. Security teams later noted it was announcing the fastest propagating piece of malware we've ever seen. All it needed was that initial foothold. And unfortunately, it got it. Tuesday, June 27, 2017. The day before Ukraine's Constitution Day holiday. Started like any other summer day. Then, just before noon, everything changed. At Ukraine's Oschadbank, one of the largest banks, IT staff watched in shock as 90% of their computers blinked off, one after another. ATM screens froze. Staff computers showed the ominous repairing disk message that NotPetya displays during its fake encryption process. Across Kiev, similar reports poured in. Government ministries, railway stations, postal services, telecom companies, all falling victim to a mysterious digital blitzkrieg. By early afternoon, at least 22 Ukrainian banks, airports in Kiev, multiple hospitals, and even 6 power companies had been hit. Grimly, the government was dead, one Ukrainian official summed up grimly. Even the systems monitoring radiation at the Chernobyl nuclear site went offline, forcing workers to switch to manual checks. It was as if a cyber hurricane had swept the nation. Ukrainians trying to get gas found stations unable to process payments. Grocery shoppers discovered checkout registers frozen. Panic and confusion set in as people realized this was not a routine IT glitch, but a coordinated digital attack. NotPetya had seated itself in any network connected to Ukraine, and many global businesses had offices or contractors there. In the port city of Odessa, a single infected computer in a local Maersk shipping office was all it took. The malware leapt from that machine into Maersk's vast global network. The result was catastrophic. By the time the worm raced out of Ukraine, dozens of multinational companies were unknowingly carrying the infection. Early that morning in Copenhagen, Maersk's IT staff noticed computers rebooting and locking up one by one. Within half an hour, employees were yanking out power cords to save their machines. Sprinting through hallways yelling for colleagues to shut down PCs. Digital phones died, keycard doors jammed. Maersk's entire office infrastructure went down. Half a world away in New Jersey, Maersk's largest cargo terminal ground to a halt. Gate scanners and loading cranes went inert, leaving hundreds of 18-wheelers backed up for miles outside the port. It was like the end of the world for us. Everything was offline, one port worker recalled as police turned trucks around by day's end. And Maersk was just one victim among many being struck in unison. Within hours, NotPetya had turned into a global crisis. The worm didn't discriminate. It tore through banks, shipping companies, hospitals, pharma labs, food producers, even a chocolate factory in Australia. In each case, the entire company was suddenly at a standstill, data scrambled and computers useless. FedEx's European subsidiary, TNT Express, couldn't move parcels. Britain's advertising giant WPP had every office offline. French manufacturer Saint-Gobain had to halt production lines. In the U.S., pharmaceutical company Merck was hit so hard it had to halt vaccine production. Even Russia, the very nation suspected to be behind the attack, saw its state oil company Rosneft infected, though it managed to stay running. The scale of damage was almost surreal. One White House assessment later confirmed over $10 billion in total losses. To put that in perspective, the city of Atlanta's worst ransomware attack, which paralyzed municipal services in 2018, cost about $10 million to fix. NotPetya was 100 times more destructive. For the corporations caught in the blast radius, the consequences were dire. Each suffered 9-figure hundreds of millions in damages. Merck alone reported a staggering $870 million impact. Shipping titan Maersk had to rebuild its entire IT infrastructure from scratch, reinstalling 4,000 servers and 45,000 PCs in just 10 days. A feat one executive likened to installing a new network from the ground up at breakneck speed. FedEx disclosed around $400 million in losses. Consumer goods maker Reckitt Benckiser lost $129 million. Global snack company Mondelez, $188 million. The list went on. Thousands of employees across dozens of organizations found themselves literally staring at blank screens for days or weeks, trying to keep critical operations running on paper and phone calls. At Maersk, for example, teams resorted to manual workarounds, coordinating container ship logistics with pen, paper, and personal cell phones to keep goods flowing at 80% capacity with no computers for 10 days. The economic ripple effects were immense, and some costs wouldn't become clear for months. Security experts quickly realized this was no ordinary ransom incident. Analysts at Kaspersky Lab confirmed that NotPetya was a wiper all along, a fake ransomware with no decryption key, designed solely to destroy data. As the attack spread on June 27th, there was intense speculation. Was this cybercriminal greed or something more sinister? It soon became apparent that NotPetya was a state-sponsored cyberweapon. The prime suspect? Russia's military hacking unit, a group nicknamed Sandworm, which had repeatedly hit Ukraine with power grid blackouts and other hacks in prior years. Within days, Ukrainian officials openly accused Moscow. And by early 2018, the United States, UK, and other allies formally attributed NotPetya to Russia's GRU hackers. One U.S. Homeland Security advisor, Tom Bossert, put it bluntly. It was the equivalent of using a nuclear bomb to achieve a small, tactical victory. In other words, the attack's supposed target was Ukraine, perhaps to disrupt Ukrainian institutions amid their conflict, but the blast radius engulfed the world. This unprecedented collateral damage led many to label NotPetya as the most reckless cyber attack ever seen. When the dust settled, NotPetya left a legacy far beyond the balance sheets of its victims. It was a wake-up call for global cybersecurity. First, companies learned the hard way that cyber warfare is not a distant threat. It can arrive through a routine software update. A tiny Ukrainian software vendor became an entry point for chaos. This underscored the importance of securing supply chains and third-party software. Second, organizations realized that basic cyber hygiene can make the difference. Microsoft had released a patch for the EternalBlue vulnerability months before, yet many hadn't applied it. NotPetya's rampage showed that not updating systems is like leaving every door and window open for attackers. Third, the attack highlighted the need for network segmentation and offline backups. Companies that isolated networks or had recent offline data backups recovered faster, whereas flat, unsegmented networks allowed the worm to tear through everything at lightning speed. NotPetya also blurred the line between criminal hacking and acts of war. The fact that a nation-state cyberweapon could inflict $10 billion in damage across the globe made governments rethink how to respond. In the aftermath, several governments began discussing whether such attacks should trigger collective defense or even cyber counterattacks. The incident even sparked legal battles in the insurance industry. Insurers tried to invoke act of war clauses to avoid paying out claims to companies hit by NotPetya, raising a big question. If a military-grade cyber attack hits civilian targets, who foots the bill? There's no easy answer, but the debate forced businesses to consider cyber insurance and war exclusions as standard procedure going forward. On a positive note, the transparency of the blockchain-like tech world helped investigators track the malware's spread and authors. By 2020, U.S. authorities indicted several Russian officers for NotPetya and related attacks, and even issued rewards for information leading to their arrest. Perhaps the most enduring lesson is that no one is too ordinary to be collateral damage in a cyber war. Mondelez, the Oreo cookies maker, or Maersk certainly had no part in geopolitical tensions, yet they were burned just the same. Since 2017, companies and governments have ramped up cyber defenses. Bug bounty programs, stricter network controls, and international dialogues about cyber norms all got a boost. NotPetya's story is a cautionary tale of how quickly digital systems can be turned against us. But it also galvanized the security community to prepare for the next big threat. As one commentator noted, while NotPetya didn't kill anyone, it was a warning shot that in our connected era, a piece of code can wreak as much havoc as a bomb. The world is on notice. We must take cybersecurity as seriously as physical security, because the next global malware outbreak could be even more disruptive. If you found this deep dive into the NotPetya attack insightful, Smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life cyber capers and tech thrillers. This channel brings you gripping stories from the digital battlefield, and trust me, there are plenty more. Subscribe so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll explore another jaw-dropping saga in cybersecurity. Together, let's unravel the secrets and lessons behind the hacks that shake the world. Stay safe, stay curious, and thanks for watching.